Hey, William. So the next one, we're getting a bit of a sneak preview because Aston in Birmingham is in volume three, which is at the printers as we speak in October 2024. So tell us about Aston.
Well, one of the things it's fairly surprising where race meetings took place. And for example, I think a lot of people watching this would be very surprised that one of the first homes of steeplechasing was all round Harrow. In fact, the J.P. McManus of his day um, was a fellow called Jack Elmore, John Elmore. He owned Lottery, the winner of the first Grand National as a handicap, and several other. And he also, a bit like JP, he would buy horses that were already quite good. Gay Lad, the winner of the National in 1842, was he purchased from his breeder, the Davies of Lincolnshire. And one of the things about so many places is that you can't imagine there ever having been a racecourse there. And one of the most extraordinary is indeed Aston Park in Birmingham, literally right next to what is now the Aston Villa football ground. What had happened was the Sheldons, and Sam Merry between them, the Sheldon family and Sam Merry ran Birmingham racing between them, really, at various different locations round. Those who've read any of Chris Pitt's books will know he's the master historian, particularly of Birmingham racing, and quite a number of these meetings were at Sutton Coldfield or around there, and uh, even now today, the Sutton Park, which was last used, I think, in about 1860 or so. You can still see the banking of the turn, a very sharp 6 furlong course. And in volume three, obviously I put maps in it, and there are you can see that there's a photographs of the banking that they made. So they did put some care into making these courses. Now, one of their ventures, and the most unfortunate one, was this one at Aston Park. You've got to remember that Britain was at war. The Crimean War was going on from 1854, and almost straight after they landed, the Russians took the British army on at the Battle of the Alma. And the Alma was really the River Alma. There was various redoubts, these big fortified forts, and subsequently the next year, in order to try and make their Birmingham steeplechases more popular, they moved the course from Knoll, which is some way out of Birmingham in those days, into, as I say, right next to what is the Aston Villa football ground. And this proved a huge mistake because the crowd was somewhere between 16 and 18,000 of roughs. And while the meeting was going on, this gradually got worse and worse. And in fact, for the last, the amateurs refused to go out and ride, and the professionals just had to ride on their own. And um, the part of it was on a hill. And so about anything between 10 and 12,000 people just started to reenact the Battle of the Alma. And if I just get the numbers right, yes, 7,000 grouped in the valley, and about 4,000 or 5,000 occupied the redoubt. And they literally just as the last race is going on, pretty much. And they're seizing bits of the racecourse and bits of the stand to use as weapons and everything else. And so sort of the racecourse is sort of nearly destroyed before the Merry and Sheldon eyes as this battle is going on. And it then overflowed, and they ended up running into the middle of Birmingham. And two really brave constables sort of tried to sort of stop these people. Reinforcements then arrived, and fewer people were arrested. Very, very similar, I'm afraid, to all these ghastly riots we've been having now. People just took it on themselves. We're going to have a riot, basically, and they the battle on the racecourse went backwards and forwards 4 times. An almost exact mirror of what had happened in the Battle of the Alma. It wasn't entirely surprising that this was the only occurrence of the Aston Park races. There were races at nearby Witton, much quieter races at Witton, but Messrs. Merry and Sheldon retreated back to Knoll to hold their Birmingham Hunt meetings, which eventually, of course, ended up on the Birmingham racecourse, with the enclosed meeting at Castle Bromwich, again, some way out of Birmingham in those days. Which is now, if there's any track that the trainers, who I've talked to say they miss, it's Birmingham. Not a particularly pretty course, but a long, flat oval, largely pretty much flat. And anybody who drives the M6 past Fort Dunlop, they will be going over the home straight of the start of the shoot of the home straight of Birmingham Racecourse. And the paddock is actually still there. They kept a little bit, the little houses developed all around it, but the paddock is still there, marked out by metal posts, and it's the last vestige of Birmingham Racecourse.